All right, we're good.
All right. I guess we're starting.
Bradley Wells.
Christian, here we are.
Here we go.
March 9th, 2018.
Episode 9.
Episode 9, A Talk Story. And we're here with Scott Stripling.
Scott Stripling. Whee!
How you doing?
Introduce yourself here a little bit, Scott.
Scott Stripling, Surfrider Foundation, waterman, meteorologist, National Hurricane Center. I'm making ocean and wave forecasts for the open Atlantic and Pacific.
Cheers to you, sir.
So, you know it's going to get nerdy. You know, with an intro like that, oh goodness, I can't wait.
And I don't know if anyone's noticed that there's things in front of us now, these little foamy contraptions.
Yeah, I guess that's, we're going to just jump into the weekly haps, which includes
these
all
things?
of this.
Okay. We can kind of go there if you want to lead us right into that.
I think you just did.
Oh, well, here I go.
So we're very lucky to have Caleb being the audio and now visual guy. He is being
Super
nominated
cool.
for more and more roles.
Well, it takes a village. It takes a village. And you know what? We put it out there. We're like, maybe we need a little help. And Caleb was like, you know what? I think I got the help for you.
Yeah, and he showed up with 3 microphones, a mixing board, and so hopefully this is going to turn into something of a better quality product this episode.
Well, I think testing, is this thing on? Yes, I think this should work.
With your
It'll
Jerry
do.
Rig studio.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
if you guys saw how we have this all set up, there is strings, tape,
yeah.
and just kind of holding
tape.
it all together.
Yeah.
I actually have resin and epoxy on my fingers from trying to stick it in there to keep the camera up, but we are rolling and we're live, and
Listen, it's a labor of love. We're doing it for we're doing it for everybody.
we're doing it for everybody.
We're just having fun.
So some of the weekly haps I think that I wanted to talk about was, one, we're working on a gallery for this last swell. And not only a gallery, but it's sort of like a mega gallery on Thank You Surfing. I recognized the other day when I was scrolling endlessly through Instagram trying to find every single picture that I could find of the swell that it was kind of annoying. And so I reached out to a few of my photographer friends and I said, do you guys want to give me a couple images, like submit some stuff, and then I'll put it in one place? They're like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, because there's such a pain in the ass to go around everywhere to find where all the images are. Why don't we put them in one spot? And so yeah, I'm taking submissions right now, and I've received some. It's been really cool. One of the things that I try to do is not ask for certain things in the submission. It was just whatever.
Right.
And so the first thing that I looked at actually today was like a lot of lifestyle stuff from the beach.
Right.
Like sitting on the beach
right.
and seeing what everybody was doing,
Right.
and it was kind of
because there's a
mind-blowing.
show, not just out in the water of what's going on, the cartwheels that are coming down the faces of these waves.
Especially here.
But you have the people that are watching it, and people that are like, oh, there's waves in Miami? And, and I feel like I've heard that a couple times over in random different places, like, oh, girl, did you see the waves at the beach? I went to the beach and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, that's right, we got some waves up in here.
Once
I
every-
know.
so
Listen,
often.
for this one
But
time a year,
we'll take it.
I'll take it.
And it's so yeah, taking in all these submissions right now, and over the next few days I'm gonna start putting all that stuff together, and honestly I have no idea what's gonna come out of it.
That's
what I've
pretty
seen
rad.
so far has been awesome.
Well, we did that one event here at the shop once before. Where we kind of like got a photo gallery of all, what are you, 3 different photographers at the time,
least,
3 or 4 different photographers, and we kind of showcased. Are we thinking of maybe doing something like that again?
Something.
I mean, you ain't got to,
You don't
hurt
have to
me
twist
with a good time.
Yeah,
Let's do it. Done.
So I guess we're doing that. So look for that, I guess, an announcement sometime soon. I guess we're gonna do some sort of photo, something or other, after I put this gallery together. It's shaping up, definitely.
I bet. I can only imagine how many. I mean, there was just Richter, how many pictures there are out there from up and down the coast, everywhere.
Yeah,
like my whole Instagram feed is like, wow. It's just like the whole coast lit up.
Yeah.
And now with drones, you got even a million more,
Dude, how was the Reef Road drone footages? That were just ridiculous.
Incredible, yeah.
Incredible stuff.
Oh my God, it's just good.
What's happening in the shops?
Shops? Well, we've been busy here
Yeah.
with surf kind of going on, and hopefully we got some more surf coming up on top and on tap, and we'll go ahead and discuss that. But currently we don't have any events lined up here other than the next ones that we'll go ahead and plan. But at Division in our spot in Wynwood next Thursday will be the start of the TV show that we had done with Ami James from Miami Ink fame, as well as Chris Nunez, and it's called The Tattoo Shop, and it'll be on Facebook Watch. And that'll be next Thursday. I'm not sure what time. It'll probably be in the evening. We're actually going to do a viewing party of it at the Division Shop in Wynwood.
So you do have something going on.
Yeah, so we'll be posting stuff. We just haven't kind of nailed down the exact details.
Okay, cool.
So we'll be viewing it there on Thursday, and then we did 8 episodes or webisodes. So there'll be one released every week starting next Thursday. And then every Friday that follows it or the next day, we'll be having a Facebook Live. Ami and the crew will be doing Mystery Tattoo, where you can kind of come in and put your arm or leg through this wall and not know what tattoo they're going to give you.
Would you do that?
You signed up for it. So that's going to be coming up as well, and that should be pretty cool. So out of there, every Thursday and Friday, we'll be having something going on for the next 8 weeks. So follow Division Wynwood if you don't already. Kind of just stay tuned because it's going to be fun.
Were you being modest, or you just forget that you're doing all these things?
Oh,
I mean, that is a weekly happening.
Who came up with the tattoo glory hole idea?
I think Ami and these guys did, and it was kind of the basis as to how Facebook picked up to give them a show was because they did the mystery tattoo and they had a couple people do it, and they had such a strong showing of it that Facebook had to look at it and be like, whoa, maybe we have something here, and that's where kind of the TV show got produced. Cool. And it's a cool TV show because it's not like the scripted reality that they had done and was kind of like the basis of so much shows nowadays. It's kind of come from like a day in a life kind of point of view. You have a very like Vice TV-esque where it's just these guys doing what they do and just producing amazing pieces.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So I guess
looking forward to that. Yeah. I think another thing that Chris and I maybe want to talk about. Chris probably doesn't even know I want to talk about this, but we went surfing together the other day up coast in southern Palm Beach County, and as we paddled out, this kid kind of paddled over to us and was like, "Hey, are you Thank You Surfing?" And Chris is like, "Hi, I'm Chris, and that's Brad, and yeah, we do that thing." And so this kid was super stoked about
Austin.
Yeah, Austin.
Cool.
And it was super weird, to kind of have that happen. But at the same time, I was like, "Well, what do you got? Why do you watch what we're doing? And he's like, "Well, I'm learning a lot about forecasting and what there is going on in the community here." And one of the other things that I wanted to know was, well, what's important to you? What do you want to see us talk about? What are the issues that are important to you? And this goes back to the episode that we had last week, which we just reposted, which is like the kids these days.
Right.
He was, I had no idea. He's like maybe 17, 18, 19 years old or something like that. And when I asked him for any ideas, he didn't say anything. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know, just like keep doing what you're doing," kind of thing.
Right.
And then later, I paddle over the top of a wave and I'm paddling past him to like go out to the outside. And he's like, "Oh, wait, actually, I did have an idea." And I was like, all right, let's hear it. He's like, "I've never really seen a swell like this, and it's so big that it's pushed in all this marine debris, like all this plastic, all this garbage."
Yep.
And it just kind of occurred to me that there's all this stuff in the ocean that's floating in on these waves, and I'd never seen anything like it. And some guy, when I started surfing years ago, I imagine some crusty old salty guy, probably like us, being like, pick up, he's like, what did he say? Pick up one piece of trash for every wave you catch. And so the kid told me this, and I was like, this is incredible.
Great
Austin,
idea.
Austin, like, good on you. I mean, this is the kids today, the kids these days. And it was super cool to run into him, and he was amped as anything to be surfing waves like that.
It was way cool. Although I will say that if we're going to judge that on the session that I had, I probably would have picked up not much trash. God, how do you go 2 hours, get 4 waves, and 2 of them you're going straight on? You get one pitched, and the other one you're like, I'm just going to toss my board. Really? God, but you know what, Austin, I like where your head is at. He's absolutely right. I think that's great, and I think that's amazing that these kids are having so much more of a proactive approach
what we were
on
talking
doing
about
this.
the last time.
Yeah.
On the last episode, I'm just like in awe of how they handled themselves, and I know they're not supposed to be in tune with anything, and they're all just sitting there on their devices and all this kind of stuff. But then you have something like that happen, and you're like, I don't believe that for a minute.
Maybe they're bored. maybe they're bored from having so much technology their whole lives that they're just like, I know this doesn't seem fake. I just feel like it's a natural instinct that you'd be like, I need realness. Maybe they're looking at certain things like that and they're saying, hey, like I could maybe make a real change in my local neighborhood. That's where it starts.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's super cool.
No,
And it's at Austin.
Good on you, Austin.
Shout out to you
Austin.
up there in southern Palm Beach County.
That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
super
even
cool.
Terry that we had here a couple episodes ago, he had somebody come up to him, a young lady that he didn't know, and she was just like, I was kind of interested about your theory about the jetties and the breaking up of the swell as it comes along the coastline. She's like, I never even thought of that before. And he was like, well, that's kind of cool that somebody just randomly came up to me, So it's thrilling a little bit that you have that we're like connecting in a sense to other people out there that are
sure.
just maybe just talk about the same things as well, and that's kind of what this is about. It's just talking story.
Just a bunch of nerds.
Just a bunch of nerds.
All right, let's roll into the next thing.
Let's get nerdy.
Report and forecast. So clearly, it's been bombing. It's been the best swell that we've had, best run of swell that we've had in a long time, years.
I mean, we still had waves today.
7 days of ground swell at South Beach is quite a run of swell.
And that low's not dead yet.
Yeah, that's pretty
That
interesting.
low was probably producing like an 8 or 10 year swell. Wow. And lighten up the whole Atlantic.
You're hearing it here first, folks.
You guys seen any video from Caribbean, from Puerto Rico, Tres Palmas, the Caribbean?
How ridiculous is that?
That was awesome. Well, they had northwest wind right behind the front as it first came in. It was a little bumpy, but I've seen some spectacular video the last few days. It's still going off.
Incredible.
I'm seeing all my buddies posting. I'm
so,
like,
and I'm guessing
man.
this is all still from the same storm,
Same
right?
storm,
and
yeah.
I mean, how much longer do you think we still have? Is that, or at this point in meteorology, is it just you can't really tell how much more is left other than monitoring buoys? But at this point, you're just like, just be stoked for whatever it is that you get left.
Now, the low is lifting off, and it's not no longer pointing at us. So maybe today or tomorrow will be the last day of swell we'll see on the Florida coast. But as the low is moving off to the northeast, it's still pushing swell south and southeast towards the Caribbean and Africa and
Right.
into the southern Atlantic. So Africa's going to be going off for the next week.
Buy a
Buy your
plane ticket.
Exactly.
It's probably cheap.
We're now getting a travel agency going.
Next episode.
Chase that swell. But yeah, it's been an incredible run of swell here in South Beach and in all of South Florida, and it continues on really through tomorrow and Sunday, like Scott was just saying. And then the trend is our friend. It looks like we're coming into prefrontal the next few days. Gonna warm up, maybe get a little southerly flow, maybe some like crossed up wind chop with a little bit of that ground swell can make a little funny peak.
Get out on the kite.
This guy's
Kiting.
gonna be kiting, I'm sure.
Of which I got to ask you, was there something that just passed recently for the
Speaking
kiting
of
that,
wiggly
that
haps,
locally
yeah.
within the city of Miami Beach? Because I saw some cheers and whatnot of that. I'm guessing that there was a meeting yesterday that had changed the tide in regards to kite surfing on Miami Beach.
There was a proposal being considered by the neighborhoods committee
Right.
to ban or limit kite surfing in some or part of Miami Beach.
Right.
But after several months, 3-4 months of meetings and discussions, and the Miami Beach Kiteboarders Foundation really pushing hard and presenting a proposal over and over to the city and trying to educate the commissioners, I think we finally got our point across that there's mainly one location where there has been a problem, the 25th Street area.
Which
The
everyone, I
beach
think,
has
could
eroded.
understand.
Yeah, the beach has eroded there, got condos and lots
Hotels.
of residents, and they've put the new lifeguard tower there.
Right.
So that it seems like they've come up with a resolution to get to allow everybody to be relatively happy there. So I guess it was the neighborhoods committee had another meeting. I thought that was going to go to the commission, to the entire commission, to the DICE. But they decided to accept our proposal and limit kiting, I believe, south, except for 24th Street, limit it south of 29th, and then allow us to keep our other zones in the rest of Miami Beach that we've been kiting. We have generally congregated to areas where we're in between lifeguard
Right.
stands. The beach has been wide enough, and we haven't been near surf breaks or
Right.
too much activity on the
Right.
beach. So we're
Right.
we're where we need to be,
Right.
really.
Right.
So they've decided to accept that and give it 6 months and see how it goes. So
Cool.
we're going to be self-policing,
Oh, cool.
taking anybody who's violating the rules out behind a woodshed,
Right.
and tell them how it
Old
works.
school style.
Yeah, there you go.
Beep, beep.
And the lifeguards need to be aggressive. Don't hesitate to whistle us in, give us,
Right.
talk to, tell
Right.
us what you think is
Right.
we should be doing that day, what's going
appropriate,
on,
yeah.
what's appropriate.
It's going to take a little time, the transition, both on the
We've
enforcement side of
kind worked this out over
lifeguards.
the last 3, 4, 5 years, we've had this a little friction between the surf community and staying away,
Right.
but that's kind of worked itself out,
Right.
and the lifeguards have kind of kept it. We figured out what surf breaks and what lifeguard stands we can go near and
Right.
how close.
Right.
We've always tried to kind of work this.
Well, it's
the
kind
city
of
was just
important.
kind of being
I think kiters
reactionary.
have done a really good job as far as regulating themselves.
Well,
and
we have
right.
to, or we would lose our right.
Right.
And that's exactly why we founded the Miami Beach Kiteboarders Foundation, is to protect our right to ride on Miami Beach.
No, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So the guys, the board on the kiteboarding foundation have done a really good job. They've had numerous meetings with commissioners. We've been sending in emails. We've had a change.org petition going around. So we've really rallied, and we have educated the commissioners to let them know what's going on.
Not a very easy thing for a commissioner to understand.
Not at all.
No.
I mean, I know a lot of the commissioners.
Right.
I've been pretty active in civics here in the city, and even skateboarding is hard to grasp, and kiting is like a whole other
but-
thing.
The city code is still really old and antiquated.
Right, so yeah, it's
there's
so
no,
archaic.
On city code, there's no frisbee playing, no
Right,
ball playing.
right.
On Miami
I'm
Beach.
aware.
Right.
It's all really old.
Right,
You
yeah.
remember in 2011, 2012
Right,
when
where
we
they
had
tried
the
to ban
issue?
surfing.
Yeah, try to ban surfing
Right.
except on South of Fifth
Right, well,
Street
they were trying to
during
enforce
Christmas.
an ordinance that was already in
Yeah,
place that
exactly.
they put in the 60s, and then they updated in the mid-90s
Yeah.
in regards to saying all surfing or
So-
or water sports was designated from 5th Street south.
Exactly. So kiteboarding is not even, there's no terminology
No.
that even refers to
No.
it on city code.
Well, they hardly-
and I
yeah.
think windsurfing is referred
Right.
to as paraboarding or
Right,
something
right.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Because again, this was all done in the 60s. They didn't really change the
There was some update done in the 90s.
right? But I
yeah.
don't think much was the verbiage
Nah.
wasn't really
But
changed much.
it's what's amazing is that we've all managed to police ourselves
Right.
and managed to coexist with our neighbors for this many years with literally no oversight,
Yeah.
no regulation whatsoever,
And no major
Nothing. No
major
downside,
incidents, yeah.
no major incidents. And
Yeah.
and this is a perfect example as far as like people just kind of coming together and doing something and seeing a positive result from it. Like
Right.
whether it's again going back to the kids that we're talking about, like actually doing something about whether it is to clean up their beaches, or whether it is to go ahead and fight for gun control, or whether it is to go ahead and do things to make sure that they can still kite or do stuff. There's, all it really takes is a little effort. And guess what? Effort is free. Just do it.
Right.
If you really want to do it, just do it.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Back to the forecast.
Back to the forecasting. So we got some wind chop this weekend.
Yep, some wind chop with a little bit of groundswell coming in, and then next
Front
week.
on Sunday.
This is the big story.
Yeah, front on Sunday. Maybe something building in late Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. So
And
it could
then-
be waves Monday.
And then
And then looks like we got a high pressure after that for 3-4 days.
you didn't see
So
that
wind
low
chill.
come off the Mid-Atlantic.
No, I'm off. I'm off work.
So next week looks like frontal, just like Scott was saying, and then a low is supposed to come off of the South Carolina, Georgia area, scoot up
That's
to
our
the
sweet spot.
scoot up to the North Carolina area, and Chicky, everyone knows Chicky from Debut.com.
Chicky.
He's been talking about how it's get it now because it's going to be gone because we're going to get this big offshore flow. But South Florida is probably one of the only places in the whole eastern seaboard that will not be flat. It'll be maybe the complete opposite of flat.
And this would be
So,
because of...
Fronts and a low. And it's like a north or northwest wind, and everywhere else will be pretty much dominantly
north
off.
ground
creating what they
northwest,
call
taking
the
behind the Bahamas.
refraction swell, or is this?
I don't like the term refraction
Okay,
swell
well,
just
bounce
because.
swell.
No, I don't like that
Well,
one either.
in the case of the
throw it all
swell,
out there.
In the case of the low, the swell will be actually generated from the low, so it'll be true swell,
Right.
Swell.
And
as
the-
opposed to the wind swell that you get behind a cold front.
Right.
The refraction is not really the proper term. Refraction
Okay.
refers to when a wave feels the bottom and begins to bend because of the bathymetry. What we get here is really unique, and I've never forecast anything like this, and this is the toughest spot to forecast for.
Thank you. Okay, this
addition,
this
you
guy
have
does this
no
for a living.
buoys.
Okay, this
In
guy
addition,
does this
you
for a
have
living.
no buoys.
That's another thing.
I
Thank you.
can't understand why, with all this marine traffic, the millions and billions of dollars of commerce coming out of government cut, and nobody's put a buoy out.
Can I just stop you for a second?
Sure.
Scott has been extremely helpful. I'm working on another side project. You guys may have seen it called Check the Waves. Tony, shout out to you. Tony builds buoys. Tony has been putting in buoys himself, building them, programming them, getting everything to work, doing it sometimes in a kayak.
In a kayak.
I mean, the guy loves oceanography. He loves surfing, and he loves data collection. And the problem that Scott has so perfectly described is something that he's really trying, and I've been trying to assist him. And so I wanted to thank you for helping us know where to put our efforts, because you've been really
I have designed
really
a buoy network for the area, and I'm working with Dr. Stephen Letterman of FIU, Dr. Beach, the guy who does the 10 best beaches in the world over here. We've been putting together a proposal. We put one together last year for money for Ocean Observation Network, which could include buoys, cameras, and any other type of platform that would give us wave information that would be beneficial not just to us as surfers. Marine could help the Corps of Engineer doing beach renourishment, could help the city doing monitoring beach erosion, help ocean rescue with rip current generation, water quality control, trying to figure out where currents, connect it with modelers and do nearshore ocean circulation. So we're putting this proposal together through a NOAA program, trying to get some money. We'll probably have to do it by baby steps and implement some of these platforms, these buoys, 1 or 2 a year at a time. So this could be a 5, 8, 10-year plan. Yep. But Tony and Check the Waves are certainly included in our plan.
That's cool.
Yeah. Super cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys want to check that out, it's actually on Thank You Surfing. There's under the Surf Science tab. You can check the waves and get a little more information about Tony and what we've been doing. All right, let's get into water quality testing.
Speaking of water quality.
Yeah, speaking of water quality, I don't know if anybody else felt a little ill in the middle of the week. I got sick. It could have been a million different things. I was surfing a lot. I was working a lot, kind of burning the candle at both ends, as I'm imagining a lot of people were doing this week. But water quality testing is now happening here, thanks to Surfrider Foundation and to First Shop. You guys have got a lab right here in the surf shop in South Beach, and they're testing water. Well, you can say more about this. I mean, that's about as much as I know.
Surfrider has developed a water quality water quality testing program over the past couple decades. We call it Blue Water Task Force. It was originally designed to test water at locations where they thought there was a problem and no other entity or agency was doing any testing. Wow. So it will be a standalone. But what we're doing is testing for enterococci. That's the poo-poo bacteria.
Aha. Poop. Technical term.
Yeah.
Poo-poo bacteria.
Poo-poo bacteria.
Emoticon poop with smile on
is
face.
found in the intestines of birds, animals, and mammals. So if you get a positive test, you don't know exactly what it is that's producing it, but you do know that poo-poo bacteria is there,
and it could make you sick.
And could make you sick, and it also is we understand is a good indicator that other foul things could be in the water. Could be a sewage leak or something like that. But anyway.
So it's indicative of some sort of other problem.
It's indicative of potential bad water and other problems.
So
we're
the
testing,
tests that we're doing now are they more?
The tests we're doing right now, we're trying to emulate the State Department of Health's Florida Healthy Beaches program. They have 9 beaches, I think, in Miami-Dade County. So we've grabbed 5 of them. 4 here on Miami Beach and 1 in Surfside, and we're testing on Thursdays. They test every Monday. You take the sample, you prepare it, you put it in an incubator, let it sit 24 hours overnight, and see if the bacteria will grow. You come back and then check the results the next day.
Stupid question, but where do you get the sample? Like, how does the sample?
Okay, so we're one of the sample sites is here.
Okay.
We go out with a plastic bag, walk out in about waist deep water, and grab a sample from about knee deep, flip it closed, tie it up, and bring it in, and prepare it, and put it in the incubator.
So
for
it's
24
not
hours.
like you're taking a boat out,
No,
or you're
no.
not. Like,
we're in the water where
most
swimmers
people would be. Right.
Swimmers would be.
Okay, interesting.
We're probably near shore. We're pretty close to the shore.
Right.
But that's where people are going to be entering and exiting the water. So anyway,
the
we've
bathing
got,
areas.
Yeah. So almost all of these sites are public beaches where the public would be attending the beach. So we've selected 5 sites here: 21st, 53rd, Ocean Terrace at 75 or 6 or so, 73, and then Surfside at 93, I believe.
Right.
We're collecting samples on Thursdays, processing them, and then reading them on Friday and distributing our information. So we collected yesterday. I read the samples today, documented our results, and we are transmitting out to the world via newsletter, Instagram, Facebook. We're going to be sending them to city officials, possibly hotels in the area, and everywhere we can to spread this information. Now, the state is testing on Mondays, and their results are available on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So we're testing on Thursday and have results Friday, so we're doubling the frequency
That's incredible.
of the state's tests.
So I think it's super cool, just to
Yeah.
stop here a second, that the
Sure.
state has been doing this. This is a massively funded program through the state.
Was a massively funded.
Right.
Well, there's defunding.
Is that kind
you
of
know.
like one of the reasons why Surfrider jumped into this a little bit more? Because we knew that it wasn't going to
Right.
be as
That's what's so
funded?
crazy about it. You have a small private business that is stepping up to do something that the state used to do to keep us all safe.
Well,
and
the
now
state
you
is
feel
still
responsibility.
testing.
And
the state is still testing, but their
You guys
budget
are
has been
jumping in.
reduced. The
amazing.
Florida Healthy Beaches program was funded 50% by the EPA and 50% by the state up until 2011. But the state legislature decided, hey, the EPA is giving us money. I guess we don't need to fund this any longer. So by doing that, they reduced the budget of the Department of Health, the water quality program, and counties north of probably Orlando are not testing during the winter.
Wow.
And they have, because of lack of
Assuming
funding,
most people aren't going in the water at that
Yeah,
particular time,
yeah,
so
probably
like,
so.
why
Oh,
should we
no
test
way.
it? Blah, blah,
and
blah.
a lot of counties have reduced the number of test sites that they're testing at. And I think Miami-Dade County might be one of the only counties in the state that's still testing every week. So we initially
I
thought,
mean, we live off.
yeah.
Of
So most of the other
who
counties,
is
state right
Florida?
now.
most of the other counties are testing every other week. So we were initially going to fill in that gap. But when we found out Miami-Dade County is still testing weekly, we said, okay, let's just double the frequency, make it closer to the weekend, so get the information out before people go to the beach on the weekend.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Crazy. I had no idea that any of that stuff was really happening.
Yeah.
I was just so proud to hear you guys were doing it.
Well,
I
we've
know
been
I-
talking about this for 5-6 years.
But it's been very expensive.
But we had some money set aside, and we've noticed that the positive test that you can see from the state was kind of happened pretty frequently. I was like, wait a second here, this is
no
not
bueno.
good. Maybe
well, as
it's
surfers,
time.
we all know we're
Well,
like the canary in the coal mine.
Exactly.
You go out, hurricane swell, it just poured, like the last swell we had from the
Well,
hurricane.
the water quality after Irma was pretty foul for several weeks.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
and
that
a
was-
lot of that to do with flooding and just a lot of
Exactly.
runoff and whatnot. Like this
Right.
past swell that we had, we didn't really have much rain or any sort of runoff capabilities
Yeah.
from what I saw. So it seemed like that water quality was probably a lot better because all it was just big swell rolling through,
Exactly.
right?
Well,
But the swell was pushing in whatever is offshore.
Right.
And then you've got
Right,
the
you never
rips,
know.
and
Circulating
the,
it.
the,
You're
the
right.
circulation's just holding it there in place. So,
Yep.
super
so one of the
interesting
things
stuff.
we want to do is, if we get find a location that's getting frequent positive tests, we want to compare them one with the states and whatever other data is out there. But we want to try and identify what are the possible causes of it,
Right.
and see if we can help rectify the situation.
a big believer in making decisions with data.
Yeah.
And so if you have no data, it's very hard to make decisions.
So this is citizen science at its basic.
I was gonna say, and this is what's great about
I don't even
Yeah.
know about it. It's basic. I mean, you guys have a full-on lab, and actually, if you guys come to the shop, this is first shop
Yeah, check
here
it
in
out.
Miami.
Shop.
Ask to see it. I mean, it's really cool, and anybody that works here will be able to tell you what exactly they're doing there. And
Like I say, Surfrider's been doing this for a couple decades. They have a plug-and-play program. We just call them up, tell them we're going to start, send them a list of what we're going to do. They send us an inventory of what we would probably need. We went over it, got a price tag on it, found a few pieces of equipment on eBay for cheaper, for half price. Headquarters got us a couple things from the manufacturer for a discount. So
Cool.
what
I
could
mean,
have been a $5,000 or $6,000 investment, we got it for less than $4,000.
That's amazing.
And we have enough equipment and supplies to test for a full year, our 5 sites.
That's
I
incredible.
mean, would you encourage other people throughout the state to maybe go, whether it's surf shops or not, or it doesn't have to be a surf shop, could be anybody that's really concerned about their local water quality, about creating maybe a station or teaming up with their local Surfrider chapter
Absolutely.
to go
That's
and
a
say,
great
hey,
way to do it. Just
I
call up your
have a
local.
little space, and this kind of concerns me. Because, we can all help. We don't have to help the same way.
Exactly.
But if someone has, has some room in a facility to be able to do it, and it makes sense, it made sense for us here that we're only steps away from the beach,
Right.
to be able to kind of do it to make the
Yeah.
surf
Surf
great.
shops kind of seem like a logical
That's
place.
a logical place, yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Oh, by all means, go to check out the Surfrider website and then look on our programs, and you'll see Blue Water Task Force, and see if there is a chapter in your area that is testing. I do know they're testing in Palm Beach. Broward County's trying to get their program up and going, and there's some testing going on in the Clearwater area. So those locations, they could certainly use additional volunteers. If you raise the money and get more supplies, you can test more sites. We're trying to get our system down, verify that our results are pretty much in line with what the state is receiving, and then we'll look at expanding in 6-9 months or a year or so.
Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
is so
Thank you
awesome.
first.
Hey, we're just,
That's such an
we're here to
awesome
help
program.
however we can, honestly.
And honestly, if any of you guys are watching this in your local area, definitely look it up, exactly what Scott said, and see if you can pitch in some way. Make the suggestion, drop into the local shop and say, hey, maybe you guys should put a lab back there. They may have no idea this is even possible.
Right.
And you guys have a great model, and I'm sure you'd be sharing all the
And it doesn't take much
program
room.
is plug and play, man. It can be implemented in a few months if you've got the money to get it started.
Honestly, it really doesn't take much room, and it's such a big help, and it's so easy, and it really brings the
Austin,
community further together.
I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Austin, make it happen. We're counting on you. But, I mean, this is also one of those things where, whether it's you're on the front lines, helping out by picking litter up, or whether you are donating and giving money to a local charity, whether it's Surfrider, to go ahead and give them the money to be able to, keep doing these things or buy the equipment, or you're a place that's hosting, let's say, something like this.
Or the people picking out the water.
Right.
Well, that's one of the
taking
things about
samples.
Surfrider. I'd always sent my $25 check for 20 years, but I'd never been involved, never
Right.
been around a chapter. But I moved here and I saw that they were having a meeting. I went to the meeting, met Mike Gibaldi, and the rest is history, man. I've been involved. I'm hardcore ever since.
He's good at taking people in.
Mike's
got a
the man.
special way.
Mike is Mr. Surfrider Miami.
Yes.
It's hard to argue
Absolutely.
that point, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move into the next thing here. This is an interesting one. I don't know how did you come up with this?
Which one?
The next topic here, surf rituals.
We were talking about it, and it's just one of those things that kind of popped up. We're just like, there's so many different sports, right? And so many different sports athletes do different things. Like maybe they're going through, like they wear the same socks, and they're a baseball player and they wear the same socks for like a week straight.
Playoff beards in hockey.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Like all these different things, and it was one of those things. Like I'm sure there's surf rituals that we all kind of have, whether it's, like I won't eat a big meal before I go surfing kind of thing. I mean, I know it just kind of makes sense, but some people
there's
don't.
I don't know if I've ever been a part of or witnessed this, but it's like the burning of surfboards
yes, we've done that
to
before.
bring a
Yes.
smell.
Yeah, I've
I
seen that
mean,
before.
I've never done that. Have you guys done that?
No.
I have, and growing up,
I've witnessed
listen,
it.
growing up down here, and when you don't get waves
It's
for a
a board
long
fire,
time, you're
not a
like,
bonfire, a
right,
board fire.
right. You need like a full-on seance. You're just like, whatever it takes, bring me
Oh my God.
waves.
I thought that was only like in cartoons.
No, I've done it. I've seen it, and we put it out. I mean, we've also done it for like paddle outs for friends that have passed and whatnot, and you kind of do something like that. But
That's a ritual for sure.
yeah, but then you start thinking like, maybe this isn't really healthy. Maybe I shouldn't be burning a surfboard.
Shouldn't be
Yeah.
inhaling epoxy smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's no bueno. And then you're just like, all right, somebody put it out. Beer.
but the waves do come somehow.
They do.
So maybe don't give it up yet.
I mean, what sort of? Do you have any rituals?
Yeah, I've got like a bajillion rituals.
And are they pertinent to the type of surf that you're getting? Is it whether it's cold, whether it's warm?
I have a lot of rituals in my life to begin with, so I could probably go on here for a long time. Like I definitely put on my wetsuit left leg first. Have to.
Really?
Yeah, and then when I put on my flip-flops...
Any reasoning for that?
None.
Okay.
Well, other than, like, I would die.
I would die if I don't.
Same
Something
thing,
bad would happen.
Yeah, same thing with the flip-flops or shoes. Left one
Left
goes...
foot first?
Yeah.
Left first.
Every single
And
time.
you're right-handed?
Yeah.
Do you do the same thing
Interesting.
when you get on a plane going on a trip somewhere? Left foot first and getting on the plane?
No, I try not to step on the crack though between the plane and the
Don't want to break your mom's back.
Bridgeway?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Other than that,
Don't want to break your mom's back.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't really
gets
have
pissed.
too many rituals. I mean, I do some sort of like little weird stretch that has been videoed. Oscar, don't release that, please. So I know some of you guys that served me a lot would know that one.
It was like pirouettes. It's weird. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know where I came up with it. No, that's pretty much it. Left leg first. They're not surf specific. They're more just like if I'm leaving the house to go surf in the morning, like I'll check to make the coffee maker's not on like 100 times.
Yeah.
I'll like leave. I'll like get the elevator and then I'll go back to the apartment and like make sure the toilet's not running. But that has nothing to do with surfing. That's
Exactly.
just my crazy
That's
mind.
just your
Well, I will do the left foot first going into a plane, traveling to a surf trip and stuff. It's left lane, left foot first, and like right hand on the thing. Like it's a weird like left foot
that's
right. It's like a getting on and you're like, okay. It's weird how that happens. And I also have a thing with like board shorts. I've got like 18 to 20 different pairs of board shorts. And for me, like they're pertinent to like, all right, what kind of surf is out there?
Oh, interesting.
Am I longboarding or am I shortboarding?
You
know?
coordinate shorts.
Oh, dude, it's like it's a
Surfing.
vibe, it's a feeling like shorts. This is my going out on the boat
Gonna have
shorts.
his outfit.
He is
Yeah,
so fashion
going on my
forward.
board shorts, you know,
You're
or
so fashion
pull side
forward.
at standard. These are the shorts that are gonna happen, you know. So maybe not so much ritual stuff, but you know, I get the.
You got some?
Probably just my stretching routine. Like I go through I've been doing yoga the past few years, so I've incorporated some yoga in it. Want to get loosened up. Probably extend my leash and put it on in the same manner, but it's mainly a stretching routine.
I will start to dry heave, however, when I get too excited. Like all this adrenaline starts to build. Like one time I remember it was like a big swell and like all adrenaline was pumping and then I had coffee as well on an empty stomach. Like I felt like a cat with like a hairball stuck. I was like, bah, bah. And it's just like all of a sudden you're like dry heaving, like I'm about to puke, and it's just because of all this energy and all of a sudden all this anxiety starts to kick in. You're like, it's fucking waves. There's waves. And all of a sudden you're just like, and then you get in the water and all of a sudden you're like paddling here, paddling there, paddling, and then all of a sudden you paddle yourself out of position and you don't chill. And it isn't until like all that energy is expended and I'm just like, oh, now we surf. Then I'm like completely exhausted. I'm just like, I'm done.
So I asked some friends what their rituals were. We did get some responses.
Oh.
Okay.
First one that came in, I think it was the first one, was Josh, and he said that he likes to surf with his friends. And so the first thing he does when he realizes there's waves, he calls like his crew and he gathers everybody up and he's like, let's go surfing together. I thought that was kind of an interesting ritual because I'm not really like that.
So you said, do you prefer surfing with friends or are you cool with just going on your own always?
Yeah,
For the most part.
even when I surf with friends, I surf by myself.
Right.
Pretty
Kind of
much.
just paddle off into your spot.
Yeah, I kind of like lose everything when I go out in the lineup, and if I see a peak down there, it's like, see ya.
Right.
You know, like if we're sitting next to each other on the same peak and it's good, and it's like, yeah, we'll talk for a little while, but like if you catch a right and I catch a left, and I go down to 2 peaks down, and you go down 2 peaks, it's not like I'm gonna be like, but where did my friend go? Because we need to finish that talk. It's not like that at all for me. So I thought that was kind of an interesting one.
That is good.
And I know that like a lot of friends will call me and be like, oh, let me know if you're gonna go out. One friend in particular, Jaime, I know you don't even have Instagram, so you're not gonna see this.
Unless he follows
but
on YouTube.
He'll call me just to like know if I'm gonna paddle out. And he'd be asking me how it is. Do I need to wear a wetsuit? Needing to know everything about it. He'd be like, all right, man, I'm at work.
Water quality samples? Just saying.
He wants to know
I get him sometimes.
the whole rundown. He's like, all right, man, I'll catch you this weekend. And you're just like, so you didn't want to go surfing at all? You just wanted to know every single thing that's happening?
But
in
maybe that for
case.
him was surfing. Maybe he was there. Maybe he was mentally surfing.
And I appreciate it, and that's why I take his calls. What's some other ones? We got Kenny wrote in. He had two, actually. He sent in one,
Mr. Michelson.
and then 2 seconds later, he sent in like another one. It was like, wait.
Wait.
And so it was the Dawn Patrol, where he does like Sun Salutations, gets like amped for the sesh, and then gets some brekkie afterwards, like a big, crazy breakfast. And that's like one ritual. And then he immediately wrote back, oh, wait, what about the afternoon sesh? And then like getting a beer at the end of the day.
Morning.
And I was like,
afternoon one.
oh, yeah. And then he had like some sort of conflict within himself, and he couldn't settle
Kenny,
it.
conflict within yourself? That's weird.
And he wanted maybe us to settle that for him. So I don't know. I mean, actually, everyone knows me will also say that I'm definitely more the evening sesh guy than the Dawn Patrol sesh guy.
I feel like we just talked about this the other day when we were up coast. I mean, I feel like my body is just so much more looser at the. Oh no, I was talking to Kellen about this. It was, and I had, we were having some beers on trips, kind of stuff. Where you're like in Costa Rica, it's the end of the afternoon. You've had some beers with lunch, and you're kind of just like in such a casual mode and just so relaxed, and you just go out surfing. And I felt like my late afternoon surfing and early evening, or just before dark, was kind of my best surfing because your body was just kind of loose and already going. Versus in the morning, and maybe this is just because I'm an old guy now at 42, that where it's like the whole body just creaks, where you're just like, and you're just like, I don't know if I'm really ready for this. Guess I'll just boogie board this whole wave in.
I've never been a morning guy. Never been a Dawn
Oh my
Patrol
God!
guy.
It's so,
I go occasionally.
It's so good to hear another surfer say that.
I've never been a Dawn Patrol guy.
But you're a kiter now, so you're like waiting.
That's kind of why I got into kiting and windsurfing.
It's like waiting for the wind to come
So
up.
if you don't get up till 9 or 10, and the trades are built in, you can still get out and catch some waves.
Interesting. Maybe I'm doing the wrong sport this whole time.
Don't do it.
Maybe.
Just kidding. I like kiting. When other people do it. I've tried it. Have you tried kiting?
No, not yet.
Oh, I want to be there when you do. God, it is some good comedy. I remember when Mark and I had first tried it once many years ago, and it was for Mark's birthday. It was for Mark's birthday.
Fantastic.
And I've Hobie catted and I've windsurfed, so I understand wind theory.
Right.
But it was one of those things where Mark didn't, and we were kind of, you're parking the kite up at 12.
Right.
You're kind of holding it there, and you're dropping it to 2 o'clock to go ahead and get pulled up and get going. But Mark didn't get pulled up and get going. He got pulled and launched. It was great. It was like 20 feet in the air, went 20 yards over, and then got slammed. And because you get slammed, you naturally hold and pull in.
And then he powered up again, go again.
He powered back up again and took off again and got slammed again. We're crying.
We call that
Crying.
This does not
salt
sound
water coming
fun.
out of my
We call
nose.
that ragdolling.
Yeah. It was the best thing
It's so
ever.
common you have a name for it. This does not sound like a sport for me anymore.
Like,
Usually you
so
see it happen
awesome.
if somebody knows what they're doing and you're caught in a thunderstorm gust or something. You see them go up,
God, it was
up again.
amazing. So I will be there the day that you try this.
Or never, as the case may turn out to be. Oh, by the way, the guy that calls me and wants to know everything that's happening wants to go on a kite trip so that we can all learn how to kite.
Could happen.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'll surf in the morning and then I'll just take a nap in the afternoon while you're kiting. Sounds like a great trip.
And then you show me video afterwards.
And I'll laugh because you're gonna ragdoll?
Ragdoll,
Yeah, he would definitely ragdoll.
Oh, it's so epic. I mean, I died of laughter when I ragdolled too. I mean, it was pretty funny. I mean, it was one of those things where I'm dying of laughter, I'm underwater, I'm dying of laughter, I should probably breathe, I'm underwater, and I'm dying of laughter again because it's so funny. And then you realize, I should probably not pull down on this thing because that's what's keeping me going up and going back
Yeah,
down.
that's a quick learning curve, you gotta imagine.
Golden rule, let go.
Yeah.
Oh, let go. Yeah, it's hard to let go.
Yeah.
Hence my OCD, left foot first, everything.
Yeah.
All right, so we've been talking probably for a long time already, and I feel like we've done a disservice to everybody because we have an incredible resource here, and it is Scott. He is a professional meteorologist. He does what I try to do. He does for a living. And so one of the things that I really wanted to get into with you, Scott, was what are some of the tools and techniques that you use or that you could recommend, and we can banter about this as much as you want, to the average surfer out there that's looking to get better at knowing where waves are going to break, when they're going to break, how big they're going to be, what the conditions are going to be like. Basically plan their life around surfing. How do you do that better?
That's what we have to do around here.
Well, there's all kinds of apps and contractors, vendors that provide forecasts these days.
Right.
When I was growing up, that wasn't available. That's actually one reason why I got into meteorology.
Same.
I lived half an hour from the beach, and I got tired of being burned. Mm-hmm. So I took a course in college and really liked it. So that ended up being my major at the end. But most, if you didn't know, most of the contractors, Surfline and everybody, are using the NOAA wave model, NOAA Wave Watch.
Wave Watch 3.
Wave Watch 3 wave model, because it's free.
Uh-huh.
If you want to, you can go to NOAA, download the code, run it on a Linux box, and provide your own forecast yourself.
Yes.
You can run the model yourself. So that's why everybody's using that model. Cool. And it's a very good model. Hey,
we had a dog just show up.
It's a very
That's
good model,
first.
but if you use the models over time and you have some verification, you can see the model biases and their strengths and weaknesses.
And because the Wave Watch 3 is based on the GFS?
Okay, the Wave Watch...
I think we're talking way over people's heads already.
Well,
all of the wave models use the winds of some particular weather model to force the wave generation in the wave model.
Okay, so let's just go back one half a step. Wind over water creates waves.
Yes, it does.
Weather models predict wind.
That's one of the parameters that you get out of the weather models, correct.
And so when you have these weather models predicting wind, you can take that information and plug it into the wave model, into a wave model. Okay.
But in that same manner, the Navy has their own weather model, and they're using the Wave Watch code to forecast their waves using their winds of their weather model.
Is that the NAM model?
That's the NavGem, what used to be FNMOC.
Oh.
They upgraded the model, and it's called NavGem now, I believe.
Okay, so that's actually one that I don't look at regularly. That's I'm gonna have to go check out.
That's probably available on the FNMOC website.
Okay.
The European, the ECMWF that we always talk about during hurricane season, they've got a superior weather model and a damn good wave model also. And then there's
I've had a lot of trouble accessing that wave model.
It's not free. That's why.
That's why.
Got to pay to play.
By the
This
way,
is not-
all the stuff we're talking about right now, I'll probably, if it's not on Thank You Surfing in the resources under Surf Science already, we'll start adding this stuff in there so you can actually look at all these acronyms. And
I was going to say a breakdown of the acronyms.
And click on what all this
GFS
stuff.
meaning Global
Forecast
Forecasting System. Okay.
Used to be the AVN model years ago.
Which was known as.
AVN.
Okay. There you go.
But it's the predominant model for weather
Aviation,
forecasting for the
nautical.
U.S. government.
It was NOAA's weather model.
There you go.
So NOAA's weather model is the GFS now, Global Forecast System. No, the ECMWF is the European Union. It's a collaboration of several European countries, and it's not any government's weather agency.
Mm-hmm.
The United Kingdom, Great Britain, has the UK Met model. That's their weather agency.
Yep.
But this ECMWF is a European Union, and they don't give anything away from free. They actually even we're going to even make us pay for their weather model.
You mean us being
NOAA, National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center.
Oh, okay, so I don't feel so bad being
Yeah,
not being able to find this stuff.
And we were,
Denied.
and NOAA was considering.
Yeah, but I'll thank you surfing, you guys.
And NOAA was considering
Denied.
not paying for it as well.
Really?
Yes,
But their stuff is so good.
but their model is so good we cannot go without it.
And I'm guessing this is the European model that when the layman like myself that's
The
watching
EC.
the news and
It's
stuff like
the
that,
EC
where they're
we refer to.
always
Especially
kind of
during
like when they're
hurricane season.
forecasting hurricane season, and that seems to be the model that everyone gravitates to as the most sure
Well, it depends.
prediction. I'm just saying, no, I mean, I know that I'm sure there's.
Everybody's got like a certain bias towards a certain model during a certain season and everything else.
It is going to be the model that's going to be most consistent, probably from run to run. When I say run to run, we run our model every 6 hours, so it's run 4 different times a day, each time inputting the most recent data. 2 times a day globally, they're launching weather balloons, and that information is going into the weather models. So that's at 0 UTC and 12 UTC, and those 2 runs should be the most reliable model runs of the day. The European, or the EC, or the Euro as they'll call it on TV, is only run twice a day at 0Z or 0 UTC and 12 UTC. It is going to be the most consistent, and in recent history, 10, 15 years, in the long range, it has been the most reliable. Now, the GFS, they've increased the resolution, and it produces some really fine scale specifics about storm systems and feature and phenomena that are amazing that it picks up and shows. And these fine scale features like winds around an island, we forecast gap winds, the trade winds blowing across Central America and then accelerating on the other side of the coast. It picks up on those things really
Nicaragua.
well. Nicaragua, exactly.
That's epic.
Tehuantepec in Mexico, on the south side of the Gulf of Mexico. And it's interesting to watch the evolution as we're, for example, forecasting hurricanes, because you'll see a group of models that are kind of generally in line, but a lot of times you'll see the GFS ends up being faster in time. It speeds up. But over time, almost without exception, the GFS kind of gradually adjusts towards the EC, the European model. Now, sometimes they'll be a little bit divergent, and you'll see them adjusting towards each other. But when you have a group of models that you rely on that you think are pretty good, and they're all giving you about the same answer, then your confidence is much higher on the forecast. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a consensus. What are our main best performing models? How are they doing, and how are they differing amongst themselves? So, for example, with Irma, initially the GFS was going up the East Coast, and then it went towards the West Coast, and then it went back to east, and then eventually went back to the west. Almost the entire time, the European was going either up the center of Florida or to the west. Yeah. So all the models eventually shifted towards the European model.
Right.
So when you see the models shifting towards the European, you're probably put your money on that basket.
Right. Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Right. It really is.
I mean, for me, they start to like have almost the characteristics of friends. You know, like you look at them and you're like, oh,
He needs to go out more often.
oh, you GFS, you're always going a little bit too fast. I know you're just a little GFS moving too fast again.
No, that's funny you're saying this about this low developing this week. Well, 4 or 5 days down the line, sometimes the GFS spins something up, and it might not be actually what's going to happen. So,
The Euro did it too.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you see that, and you say, oh, hey,
Models in
this
alignment.
is likely going to happen.
Right.
Some version of this.
this.
They might shift a little bit, timing-wise, a little north, a little south, but it looks like that's going to evolve.
Okay, so this is a major point that I think that a lot of people miss with forecasting is that they look at days out and they don't realize the further out you go, the less confidence you can have in that forecast.
Correct.
The closer you are, the more data you have, the more confident you're going to be in that forecast. And so we're talking about weather models here, as opposed to wave models, because that's kind of, doesn't even really where it starts. But for practical purposes of surf forecasting, you want to start with your weather models, and then you're coming downstream into wave models, and then into observations. And like Scott was saying before, down here in South Florida, our observations are pretty much nothing.
We have no.
Except for check the waves in Jensen. That's the only one in South Florida.
No wave observations over the water. We have recently gotten one wind observation. The company Weatherflow.
Really?
It was iKitesurf, iWindsurf. They have put out a wind anemometer on top of one of the navigational buoys coming into Government Cut.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me that the other day.
It's on the web platform Wind Alert. Windalert.com.
Right.
Anyway, they put that out a year and a half or so ago, and that's the most representative wind observation you'll have around. So
that's
just
awesome.
That's not even.
I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say that weather predicting is a little, I don't know, not an exact science.
That's why we talk in probabilities. Yeah. That's what I tell guys I work with. Guys, look, we're meteorologists. You got to be accustomed and comfortable with being wrong sometimes, man.
All the time, pretty much.
Like gray area is your friend.
There are times when something we see something, I see something that I know is going to happen, and when I know it's going to happen, I will tell you with certainty that this will happen. But otherwise, I want to give you the possibilities, the range of possibilities. As a hurricane forecaster, I want to give you enough information about what I know and what could happen so that you can make an informed decision for yourself that you will be comfortable with and have confidence in.
Yeah, and it's okay to say, like, I'm not sure yet. And
Right.
as a forecaster, you want to have that
And-
crystal ball
So what
and
would you
know
say?
everything.
How many days out would you say that you can start to get into like a little bit more certainty?
Here,
let's go here
inside
and-
5-3 on day by 3 days out, we're pretty confident.
Okay,
yeah.
it's good to know.
But getting beyond 3 days, there's
But
a little
3
less
days,
confidence.
3 days within what a storm might do, but not necessarily what the swell is going to do, say in Broward or Miami-Dade County.
Yeah. Well,
That
actually,
becomes a little harder.
this year, the Hurricane Center's forecast verification statistics were the best ever. We have this thing we've always advertised to mariners called the Mariners 1-2-3 rule. That every one day our forecast was generally 100 miles off. So at day 1 it was 100 miles, day 2 200, day 3 300. We were within 150 miles.
That's so awesome.
Out on day 3
Wow.
this past year.
That is incredible.
So that's a reflection of how good the weather models are getting.
Yeah, science
And
is
how
incredible, huh?
and how we're learning to use them best. It's not necessarily that any one particular weather model was that good, but we learn the weaknesses of each of the various strengths and weaknesses, and we know how to use them together and have confidence on what is wrong and what is right and which was the best solution.
So it seems like with knowledge and the understanding of things, and we kind of grow off of things, that within us as people, we get to learn and understand more. But we've understood just with water quality testing that there's cutbacks within the government, and it seems like there's cutbacks within the environmental side of things within our government on the federal level. Like, how does that apply into like NOAA and what you guys do? Are you guys getting stripped of certain tools that you guys have to continue, or are you guys still feeling pretty confident with what
I don't know
you
if you
have
want to take
currently?
that one. I'll take it for him, maybe, as a private citizen.
Sure. I will appreciate this.
It
as
is
a private
awful.
citizen.
It is god awful what's been happening in terms of science in this country on a federal level. I've worked in this field, and I can tell you that it's been slashed and cut a million different ways. And the things that we should be investing in, the things that'll move us forward as a country, in my opinion, and probably most scientists who do science.
Because with weather and hard weather like that, it's about being proactive instead of reactive. It's trying to get.
And the stuff that we've put into, into practice now was stuff that was put into action, decades ago. Science is not fast. Did we just put the GO satellite up, for example? And it's like that program probably started, you could tell me, 15 or
In the 70s.
the 70s. Okay? And so if we stop funding now, it's not even like us that are going to be damaged. It's going to be people to come. And clearly, climate seems to be having an impact on what our storms are doing. Storms are becoming more violent, more frequent, at least in my opinion.
Right.
I'm not a scientist.
So the knowledge and
but
understanding isn't necessarily being taken away. It's the tools and
Tools and funding just
Right.
for bodies to do jobs.
right.
The current
'Cause it-
administration
right.
is not one high on science. They seem to be many in Washington are more concerned about profit, keeping the U.S. economic machine rolling, everybody
Right.
making money, or the bigwigs making money, the big dogs. And they're moving away from science-based decisions and going on what's more economically positive or for them and their constituents.
yeah,
they're-
why use
they're-
information when you can use feelings?
Yeah. So actually, since you mentioned
Depends
that,
how many beers you had
there
in
have
your
been
for
proposed
feelings.
significant budget cuts to the National Weather Service and to NOAA that would significantly reduce our workforce, the number of bodies that we have.
And if anything, we need to be increasing that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not getting
Any easier.
right.
Well,
And we're not depending on it any less.
The
Do you know how
thinking
much-
of some in Washington is, we'll privatize it.
Which always
Competition.
drives me crazy
Yeah.
about the privatizing of so many different things, whether it's that.
No,
or
there's room for certain aspects of it to be
Okay.
privatized,
Right.
but
the government is really
but no
only
broad
one-
stroke. It's got to
yeah,
be.
but we serve a function in watch and warning, and we have some expertise. And if you take it away from us, you're really will
Putting
be
us blind,
affecting.
right.
That's why we're in the department. NOAA's in the Department of Commerce.
Smart.
It's because it's important to make money in this country, and if you're going to have no weather forecasting, it's going to be very difficult to move goods around the country. It's going to be very difficult to predict what's going to happen with your crops. Oh, little things like this. What about commuting even, or transportation? I mean, there's a million. I mean, we're not even talking about tourism or anything else.
Right.
Everything is highly dependent on weather.
Right.
And here we are being like, yeah, whatever.
Weather schmether.
Yeah, weather schmether. Just like my dad said, stick your head out the window in the morning. Was this a reaction to my dad saying that my whole life? Never really thought about that.
Next week.
Reflective moments.
Going into the deep psychology of what your parents did to you.
But and is there any other resources? Actually, I want to throw a couple of resources out there that I think are super important. One that was actually that I think you had a lot to do with is the nearshore wave prediction system.
No, I did not, but I did I participated in the verification study.
And you also were very instrumental in showing me this model. So there's that.
You were instrumental.
The wave models are generally for the open oceans, and they don't take into account the wave interacting with feeling the ocean floor and any interaction. And there's different dynamics in shallower water. So there have been wave models. One of them is called SWAN. That's a shallow water wave program. And the National Weather Service has developed a version of SWAN called Nearshore Wave Prediction System. So we're taking the wave energy and bringing it to near shore and then transferring it into this near shore model and near shore domain and producing forecasts for the nearshore coastal zone inside like 50 miles or so.
Does that start in one part of the state and
no, this is all around the United States.
Now they've expanded it, yeah. It's incredible. I mean,
for me, just again on the layman side of things, it's like I think of somewhere like Florida, and we've got a lot of shallows that go out different parts, right? Keys don't really break as well as they could unless it's the outside because there's just so much shallowness that goes on that breaks up the actual swell.
But if you have we have a saying in the weather modeling world, garbage in, garbage out. If the wave energy that the wave watch model is forecasting is not correct, then you're not going to have a correct solution from the nearshore wave prediction system. It's got superior physics in it, and it should perform and show the wave action as it occurs naturally in nature. But the wave watch model, although it is a very good model, it has a bias for long period swell that's traveling a significant distance. It dampens it out too quickly, so it's always low on long period swell.
I've seen that before.
So
it shows up a little bit bigger.
If you're going to the islands and catch some swell, and Wave Watch says it's going to be 6-7 foot, it's probably going to be 8 or 9.
Right.
So
Caleb, are we coming on an hour? Because we're going to run out of time here. Oh, how about that?
So that's something to keep in mind as you use all your various wave sources. The Wave Watch model has a low bias on swell by a foot or two, unless it gets really big, then maybe 2 or 3 feet.
Right.
So my friend Alex Gibbs, who worked at the National Weather Service Miami office here, he was the one that set up the nearshore wave prediction system and was running it. Really sharp guy.
Yep.
He's now in Honolulu.
I know
He's running it. He's running the wave model out there, and
I chat with them
living the
online
life.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
Why is it nice out in Hawaii?
I hear.
Aloha.
Why'd I leave? I'm just kidding. I came back here for all this.
So yeah, that's a really, really cool model, and it's actually already on the site. So if you guys want to go look into on the Oceanographic of Surf Science page, it's on there. Another one that I look at a lot is the Ocean Prediction Center, just trying to see what's going to be happening in the atmosphere, what's going to be happening with sea states. And
Ocean Prediction Center, OPC.
OPC.
For those acronym fools out there.
They're the equivalent of my office at the Hurricane Center, but they forecast for 30 degrees northward. So we stop off a little bit north of Jacksonville at about 31 north in the Atlantic, and OPC is our sister office, and they're forecasting the open ocean for that area.
So you guys are my friend from May through October, and they're my friend for the winter season.
But there's no surfers in that office. I'm not going to be able to help you, man. So you got to call me anyway.
Scott, why are you here? Of course. So, I mean, we've been doing this for well over an hour. This is probably our longest cast. I think we should probably wrap this thing up. I mean, there's a lot of information we've gone over tonight.
It's so good.
From
I have to watch this over again.
I know. I actually go home usually and like sit there and just watch the whole thing again and be like, wow, yeah, that guest had a lot of cool stuff to talk about. I watched the Terry episode myself probably like 4 times.
No, he's good.
So, thanks for joining us. I'm Brad from Thank You Surfing.
Scott from Surfrider.
Chris from First Surf Shop.
And shout out to Caleb for doing all the AV stuff tonight.
Yeah,
hopefully
Caleb.
this is going to be way better in quality than we've done in the
Such a
past.
champion.
And if not, then we'll try again next time. Thanks for joining.
Peace
Cheers.
out.